All right, look, I have talked about this curious case of John Tamahiri lending himself money to run the Māori Party and then being caught doing that and then telling himself to pay the money back, which he'll never do. And I want to refer you and take you through an excellent piece written by, Thomas Cranmer, not his real name, the journalist who published and wrote many pieces about Nanaia Mahuta and Three Waters and her husband, William Gannon Ormsby. He's done an excellent piece, which we have published in the opinion section of the platform and is on his Substack from Thomas Cranmer. And he's done a bit of a dive, I think there's more to come, on the Waipareira Trust, the West Auckland Māori Services Trust charity, registered charity run by John Tamahiri. And basically it's headlined this column, the charity service decision to require the Waipareira Trust to claw back $385,000 of interest-free loans from John Tamahiri to John Tamahiri brings renewed attention to the links between Whana Ora and the Trust. So he goes into this. And just remember, the Waipareira Trust has agreed, though it's not quite clear how it's agreed, with charity services to cease making political donations and take steps to claw back $385,000 of interest-free loans made to its own chief executive, John Tamahiri, who, of course, is also the president or the chair of the Māori Party and ran for mayor. Now, as Thomas Cranmer points out, it's not the first scandal to hit the trust involving John Tamahiri and money. Back in 2004, he was accused of dishonest financial dealings, including a $195,000 golden goodbye or golden handshake from the Waipareira Trust that he got when he was elected to Parliament 24 years ago, back in 1999. So just for leaving, and that's way back then, $195,000 to John Tamahiri. Tamahiri resigned his ministerial portfolio, though that may not have been related. There was an inquiry into whether he'd paid tax on the payments and other matters relating to the trust. ACT at the time wanted an inquiry into Tamahiri and to also cover a housing loan he had received from the trust. In 1991, Tamahiri was eventually cleared of any wrongdoing in relation to those matters. Then back in the early 2000s, the trust and property developer West Harbour entered a joint agreement to build a hotel in Gulf Harbour, and there was loans and financial movings which allowed John Tamahiri to buy a $1.36 million home on the Te Atatu Peninsula. And the funds for that home were raised after the trust released a mortgage it held over a townhouse, which was then sold. And the proceeds of that sale were loaned to Tamahiri as the chief executive. So he seems to do quite well out of being the chief executive. He doesn't just pull his salary. Anyway, look, Thomas Cranmer goes through a whole lot of things, but the real eye-watering part is when we come to where or how much money the Waipareira Trust has. And it is the biggest delivery agency for Whana Ora, or commissioning agent for Whana Ora services, which do good works for Māori family, for whānau. And it's all connected because John Tamahiri's father-in-law is part of the group that decides who gets the money from Whana Ora. His wife is involved. So the Chief Executive Officer in the Waipareira Trust, John Tamahiri, Chief Operating Officer is his wife, Awarangi Tamahiri, and they are linked to the commissioning agency for Whana Ora, Te Pou Makatana Limited, and the patrons of that entity include Dame Tariana Turia, Mirapeka Raukawa Tate, who's had her own issues with the law and honesty, and John Tamahiri's father-in-law, Sir Mason Jury. And strangely enough, the Whana Ora Commissioning Agency, the chief executive officer of that is John Tamahiri himself, and the chief operating officer is his wife, Awarangi Tamahiri. So they're also got the same positions in the charity that takes the money recommended by the commissioning agency. So you see what I'm saying? It's all really, really closely related. And how much money are we talking? Is this just a few dollars to, I don't know, run some groups? No, the assets of, and this isn't a bad thing. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. Let's just look at the money. Whana Ora commissioning funding for the Waipareira Trust, $16,873,000, of which the 15 managers of Waipareira Trust charge $6 million for management fees, $2 million for research, $3 million for technology, leasing expenses. They also run, believe it or not, a radio station. And Willie Jackson's involved somehow with all of this, with the radio stations. So under the current Labor government, the Waipareira Trust has had a golden run. In its accounts for the year ended 30 June, the trust had revenue from services of $21 or $23 million and cash or term deposits of $7 million. So that's back in 2016. Its most recent accounts for the end of last year, get this, the trust had revenue from services of $69.5 million, nearly $70 million, and cash or term deposits, get this, cash or term deposits on hand, this is the Waipareira Trust, of $50 million. Administrative costs in that same 6-year period ballooned from $2 million to $5, nearly $6 million. And that's only because senior management headcount only increased from 14 to 15. Wow. Remuneration benefits for senior management had increased from $2 million to $4 million. So someone's doing incredibly well out of this trust. Everyone who decides who gets this government money and how it is distributed or spent seems to be related. And some of that money and the windfall of taxpayer money that goes to the Waipareira Trust, some of it has been applied for political purposes, which makes the Waipareira Trust no longer a charity, but nothing is being done about it. So I think that all of that deserves to be probed further. I think the links, the nepotism, the apparent nepotism there, and the sums of money involved and the question marks over it require an inquiry. And I'm not being racist. I'm just saying it stinks to high heaven. And if you got nothing to hide, open the books. Let us have a look.